Hey gang, just wanted to give an update video, hopefully before a drive here very shortly. So the engine is now all the way in, the drive line is all the way in. So previously we just had the engine sitting in the engine bay and it was just held up by a ratchet strap just to keep it level. But we got it running and that was great to hear it running. After 10 years, we got the new turbo set up, everything is going fine. Got the in that previous video, we got the rat and got it all started up, got it running well above idle, and got the cam broken in for 10-15 minutes so that we could be good for a drive here soon. But now everything is all put together. So basically everything behind the engine has been installed. So we have a new Lakewood scatter shield, which is a steel bell housing, just in case the clutch explodes, safety first. And then inside that we have a McLeod pressure plate and clutch. Replaced the pilot bearing. That was a huge pain in the ass, but that's the way it goes. Behind that, we also have a new Muncie M20 transmission. So that is a 4-speed, just like the old Saginaw. It just doesn't weigh 1,000 pounds. So that's pretty killer. Got all the linkages hooked up. Got the throwout arm adjusted, so it actually disconnects the clutch and everything. I also got a new drive shaft. I'm sorry, got the old drive shaft, but got new U-joints thrown in at a shop and got that all connected to the rear end. So it's finally all together. So the main things that we had to go through to get this thing in running shape was mostly this driving list here. So just kind of going through some of it. The main things are going to be this getting fuel to it. So before, when we had it running, we just had a bottle hanging upside down with a line running to the carb, and that was fine. But now to get it moving, we need something a little more permanent. So I took the old gas tank out, which is sitting over there under some old rags. But basically, I wanted to use my fuel cell that I put together in high school, and I basically just crossed my fingers that the fuel cell didn't, the foam in it didn't go crazy and disintegrate and clog all these fuel lines. But this is my old fuel cell setup for a carb. Everything worked great. It's got the pre-filter, the 255 liter an hour pump, post filter into a carb fuel pressure regulator, and then a line that runs all the way up along the same path as the original fuel line. So luckily, I used to have a dual fuel system. Right now I took out the Y block and the old fuel pump plate. The old fuel pump has been plated off because now I'm going to have a dual fuel system with 2 electric pumps. But at the moment, it's just connected to the fuel cell, so I was able to take out that Y block and run it around straight to the carb. So basically all I did was just take apart those lines, run some fuel through it. Everything came out beautifully, nice and clean. And then really, because apparently I thought ahead when I was in high school, I actually had everything wired all the way to the front. So really all I had to do was just run this one red wire up to the battery and pop it on, and boom, had fuel pressure at the end of the line. So that was great. Motor mount bolts, got a new trans mount, all that in and tightened up. Put the rad support back in because I had to bring that in and out to get the trans and the clutch and the bell housing all back on. Filled up the trans, again, the throwout bearing, throwout fork, and the clutch is all good to go. Greased up the U-joints in the new drive shaft, wired up the fuel pump, and I also had to cut out my old exhaust, which is laying in pieces over there. So now this is running a 3-inch pipe from the turbo because it's a little bit bigger turbo. It's an actual Garrett nice turbo, not eBay turbo this time around. So I had to take the V-band ring and weld a 3-inch down pipe so that it doesn't melt my firewall, kind of like it did during the engine test. Other than that, it is pretty much ready to go. The only other fun thing that I've gotten in the meantime was this shift linkage right here, which is just like the shift linkage that I used to have when I got the car originally, but it was, when I got the car, it was incredibly loose, and I pulled it off just a hair too much and then shifted down, and it splintered and broke everywhere. So I've been looking for one of those for almost 10 years and ended up finding one when I went to the Buick GS Nationals with my dad. So I ended up having to, because that is a manual column shifter, which is a little bit hard to find. I ended up, the one I got it on, the new knob that I got it on was for an automatic. So I ended up having to actually like drill out that, under the cap. I had to drill it out, pound it out, and then put it on my old manual shift lever. I also took out the old rat's nests and all of my old gauges and the old tack that was sitting up on my steering column, because they have been heavily melted in the Tennessee sun, and that was all that's all laying on the floor at the moment. So this is my high school wiring job, and it looked just about that nice when it was actually in the car. So it's pretty much good and ready to move at the moment. So everything should be ideally turnkey at the moment. It doesn't have a front engine harness at the moment, so this will be running off battery. I do have the alternator installed, but this is going to be kind of a hot wire situation, so I'm going to be using the positive to the distributor to ignite the coil, and then I'm just going to be using a remote starter to the starter straight to there, and then I'll be hooking up that same red wire I mentioned before to give me fuel pressure. So other than that, she's ready to run. So y'all will be seeing a driving video shortly, but the new turbo setup is good and ready to run. Thanks for watching, guys.